Hello, Sanford. You are watching the Coyotes Football Network. I am Jonathan West, your man on the call for every Coyotes football game and anything else Coyotes sports. But you're watching the Howler, and this is a huge week for the Coyotes. One, they're coming off a bye week after beating the Navy in Week 7, and now Week 8, they're coming off a great rest. Key component here, though, is they're coming back to being ranked number 4 in the nation. Yeah, I did not stutter. Number 4 in the nation. Now, there's a lot of news around Keith Darby as well for the Coyotes when it comes to recruiting. Darby, full go for the Coyotes, which is huge for them. So expect Keith Darby to show up when time comes for recruits to be coming in and for the first commit of the year. I think Darby's going to definitely be in that first class of recruits that really come to play. But big thing with this week's ball game, it is a home game against ECU, and from the way it looks that the team is set up, their visits, it's an offensive visit day. And the headline for all of the offense this year, recruiting-wise, is the 6'7" tight end, Garrett Theory. And he'll be visiting this week along with a number of other offensive players. And for most of these guys, it seems like Sanford is their choice of program. I don't know if it means we're going to be seeing a number of guys commit following this week, but it does look like it is a very good week to be a Coyote fan, as Sanford looks to not only possibly get a lot of recruits to commit to coming here, but also they're ranked number 4 in the nation. They're a top 5 team for the first time. 5 seasons. It has taken 5 seasons, and I actually got to talk with, of course, Claude Fleming, who has been talking all year long about the disrespect that Sanford had been getting from the polls and not being voted as highly as they should. And I asked him, how's it feel to come back to the practice field and be number 4 in the nation? And he said, we're still too low. So you can see exactly where Claude Fleming believes this team should be. If 4 is too low, I got a feeling he's thinking number 1 is exactly where these Coyotes should be ranked. And I mean, it's tough to argue them after shutting out Navy in Week 7. It's good to be a Coyote fan. It is very good to be a Coyote fan right now. Not to mention a couple tackles coming in to visit in Ian Holiday and Peyton Doane. And we'll see if these tackles commit. Those are the big recruits I think that a lot of Sanford fans are looking at, with the offensive line being a very weak spot for this team. It's a little disappointing that Claude Fleming has to play against arguably one of the weakest lines this school has seen, but he's doing a good job even with that. We take you to last week with his 170-odd yard outing. Now for the American Conference last week, players of the week are Kevin Taylor and Donovan Williams. Of course, no Sanford names to call out during a bye week. I'd say the Coyotes overall, though, are definitely the team of the week with their move up to number 4. They are still undefeated, 6-0, 2-0 in conference, and the only undefeated team in the American League, the American Conference. So that means that these Coyotes are on top of their new conference, and they've got to feel confident about it. You walk in here after only one MAC championship. You're walking into a new conference, the AAC. It's got your rival UConn in it. You got a team like Houston, who's always been one of those under-the-radar powerhouses. This is just interesting to see Sanford walk in and take names. They're sitting high and mighty with no losses. Even with one loss, they're still one of the top teams in this conference. This team is looking just as dominant as I think a lot of fans hoped they would be this year. And there was some talk about Sanford being a national championship contender after what went down in Week 7 with the shutout of Navy. And it's hard to argue that right now. They're ranked number 4 in the nation. Their offense is playing solid football. Their defense really showed up against Navy. If the defense continues to be the sack machine they have been and start to get these turnovers, I mean, this team is looking like a pure contender for the national championship. Currently, number 1 in the nation is Oklahoma. So we know the last time those two teams faced off, how that went. But these are two different teams, I'd say, right now. Especially Sanford and that offense looking better than ever. But it'll be interesting to see exactly where Sanford stands after this week. It's a test against one of the lower-rated teams in ECU, the Pirates, coming to the Den. Then they're going to meet a lot of rabid fans, I'm sure. The Coyote faithful extremely excited for how well their team has been doing. And for East Carolina fans, if you're listening to the program, I would take caution entering the Den this weekend. Be very, very careful where you go. As a couple big games to keep in mind, Cincinnati at UConn this week, as well as Houston at Navy. That's one that I think could be very, very interesting. Temple UCF also one to watch, as the Coyotes will face UCF next week. So it's on to ECU. Not on to ECU, but another week of American Athletics Conference play, and it's arguably the weakest team in the conference. You gotta feel confident. There's no way to say you don't feel confident if you're Sanford. Kirk Herbstreit has the Coyotes winning this one, and I don't think anyone's going to argue with Kirk Herbstreit, especially this week. They have been dominant pretty much all year long. Pretty much. And I even got to talk to Coach Wolf, and I asked him how, even in the shutout, they didn't bring in the backups. They kept the starters out, even when they knew they had it won in the fourth quarter. I asked him how, what was the idea of keeping the starters out there? Were they worried about Navy comeback? What was the situation? And from all accounts from Coach Wolf, it was the fact of they didn't want to give Navy a chance. So it seemed like they had some fear that Navy could pull off a possible comeback if the backups couldn't get the job done. This is a situation where I could see if Sanford's up 3 scores in the fourth quarter, the backups come flying in. ECU has not looked dangerous. They put up 42 points against Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan. That's not a very big standard here. Yes, Sanford has had their troubles with Eastern Michigan in the past, but I wouldn't call Eastern Michigan something to fear, seeing 42 points laid up on them. So I could see if this becomes a very similar game to Week 7 against Navy, we may just see the debut of John Scott at home against ECU. I would not be surprised at all. But there are some players to definitely be worrisome on the ECU side of things. One man to keep in mind is quarterback Reed Herring. This team for ECU is much more ground-based. We're going to see two teams that really like to run the football. And I'd be surprised if we see Reed Herring try to win this game with his arm. 12 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Not the greatest stat line. Very similar to the stat line currently of Tanner Patrick. So I'm not expecting a big day by Reed Herring. Now, on the other hand, they have a running back that is someone you have to keep in check. And I may be talking him up a bit, but this kid can be deadly. Now, the Sanford defense has done well, and Hussein Howe could be the death sentence to this defense. 1,000 yards last year. He's already got 641 yards this year and is averaging nearly 100 yards per game. I think that says it all. And at 5'9", 185, he's shown a lot of power. So how is someone you cannot really get overconfident with? You can't just go into the game and say, oh yeah, we're going to bottle him up, because he may beat you down even at that small size. So definitely they got to watch there. On the defensive side for the Pirates, you've got Raekwon Purvis, and he is not their deadliest weapon, I'd say, on defense, but he's definitely one of them. He does have one pass deflection from his end spot, 2 sacks, and he's got a good chunk of tackles, nearly already more than he had last year at 26. He has 25 already this season, 6 for a loss. He also has 1 fumble recovery on the year, and it's been a solid outing for him. But the man on that D-line that I think is the scariest guy on the field is Jalen Price, the defensive tackle. He doesn't have any sacks on the year. He only had 1.5 last year. But he's got 12 tackles, and he is deadly stopping the run. We all know how the Coyotes intend to attack ECU. It's the same way they attacked Navy last week. They want to go to the ground. They want to run Claude Fleming, and they want to make sure their best player puts up big numbers like he did against Navy. This is the guy that's going to stop that if anyone's going to. Jalen Price is going to bring the wood on every play to Claude Fleming if he gets his hands on him. Now let's talk about that secondary for 1 second and talk about Javonte Smith, the free safety for ECU. He's not known for his tackling, only 4 tackles on the year, no sacks, but he is a good defender when the ball's in the air. He has 6 pass deflections, only 3 less than how many he had the past 2 years in 9. So this kid can be a threat. Currently no interceptions, but he has averaged 2 each year. So I'd watch out if I'm Tanner Patrick. I don't want to throw it right at Javonte Smith. I want to throw it in a position where only my player can make a play on the ball. So, of course, as always, we always got to discuss the Sanford players that I think are in for a big day. And this one's not even about a big day. This is just about what I think he can do, and it's Claude Fleming. He is this offense. Yes, Tanner Patrick plays a major role in the offense, and I think they're kind of 1A, 1B when it comes to really keys to this offensive firepower, but Fleming is the lifeblood. As long as they continue to run the football like they do, it's always going to be about Claude Fleming and how he powers through defenses and beats them down. Now, on the defensive side of things, there's only one man you need to cover, I think, and it's Joe Irvin. But, of course, there's a lot of key pieces to this defense, but Big Joe is one of the major ones. 7 sacks already on the year. He's 1 away from having just as many as he had his first 2 years at Sanford. And, folks, he's not far off from the current sack record he set last year at 12. I could see Joe Irvin easily breaking his own record again, but we'll see if he's able to do so. He currently holds the record for 4 sacks in a single game. We'll see if he can break that as well. He almost did earlier this year against Oklahoma State. But another man to talk about is the play of Matthew Fowler. Can we talk about how well he has played at middle linebacker as of late? He got the first pick of the year for this defense against Navy, and he has made some solid tackles. He has made some mistakes in coverage, but he has played very well when it comes to tackling. And that's what you need out of your linebacker. So expect to see more good play, hopefully, out of Matthew Fowler. I'm hoping he has another big day. Now, let's talk about this Sanford team here while you folks watch a bit of what went down in practice this week. It's a very interesting situation. They have never been in a situation where they're kind of the team to talk about. Sanford has never been in that spotlight as a top 10 team, as a top 5 team. They're in a new light now here at the top of the top 25. And the media is I don't want to say not buying it, but it seems a lot of disbelief that a team that's only 5 seasons in to their collegiate career can be this good this fast. Now, there have been some good transfers to enter Sanford. Of course, some very good recruits came in that first class. Claude Fleming, Big Joe Irvin, 2 guys that a lot of people didn't expect to show up to Sanford. You got a lot of guys that I think have really surprised people for this team. Rob Thomas, another name I didn't bring up of that first recruiting class, along with Tanner Patrick. All these guys have finally become what I think not only the coaching staff, well, the original coaching staff, but what the whole town thought they were going to become. The Coyote faithful have waited, and these players have developed. They've become the lifeblood of this team. And if they continue to play at a high level like they have been, we may just be looking at a national contender. I'm not saying a national championship should be expected. I'm not saying you should expect this team to run the table all the way to a national title game. But it's definitely something that should be considered. I would put them as a dark horse for it. And even with a loss at some point this season, they may still be in the running. You never know how the top 25 is going to pan out. We've seen plenty before when where a team with a loss winds up in the national title game. But this Sanford team is a lot different than I think what anybody thought we would see. And they've got to prove themselves. They got to prove not only to everyone else, but themselves that they can keep going on this hot streak this weekend against East Carolina. It's a trap game all over it if you ask me, but we'll see what they do this Saturday. I've been Jonathan West. You've been watching The Howler here on the Coyotes Football Network. We will see you this Saturday. Hello, Sanford. You are watching the Coyotes Football Network, and it is time for some more Sanford College Coyote football, as it is time to hashtag defend the den. The Coyotes are finally back home, and man, is this crowd loud today. It is AAC competition as Sanford hosts their their AAC foes, East Carolina. I'm all over the place today, but there's a lot of recruits in the crowd today. We got a lot of young men who are here to look at the facility, to check out this team, and to watch this ball game. So let's see if these Coyotes can impress today. Maybe even get some of those offensive playmakers that are here today to commit to Sanford and be part of what's going on in the future. These Coyotes are favored to win this game by a bucket load. We'll see if they can get the job done as we get ready to get underway here. And we are off as Jackson Stone kicks that one away, and Vincent will just take a knee in the end zone. Arguably the most boring way to start a football game, but hey, I'm fine with a kneel down and a touchback. As it is ECU's ball to begin, they start with some play action, and immediately it goes out of bounds to throw away by Reed Herring. And that is not the start ECU wants to see. 2nd and 10. Shotgun formation, handoff goes to Hussein Howe, the offensive playmaker for the Pirates, and he can only find 1 yard as this defense is ready for Howe today. 3rd and 9 is Herring to throw. He's got time, rolling around that pocket though, going deep, and it will fall incomplete, about 10 yards short from his intended receiver. That's going to bring up 4th down early, and it's all about Claude Fleming for Sanford. Huge game last time they were on the field, 24 carries, 174. As the Coyotes begin with the end around to Rob Thomas, and Thomas with a 5-yard gain to begin things. We haven't seen them pull out the end around much this year, but it works out there for a nice solid gain. 2nd and 5, they go to their firepower. It is a 6-yard run for Claude Fleming. And the fireworks are going to begin if Fleming gets going. That is for certain. He's at a great start to this year. We're only at about around the halfway point. As Patrick off play action here on first down. That one's behind Gutierrez, but he makes the catch and fights forward. What should have been a loss becomes 5 yards for Charles Gutierrez. This young fullback has had a lot to live up to with the graduation of Antoine Bradford, and he's done a very good job here early in his career. 2nd and 5, at the offset eye, handoff goes to Fleming, and he's going to find 4 yards. Not enough for the first, but it will set them up at 3rd and 1. They have a definite opportunity here for the first down. It's out of the full house. There you go, Joe Baker. But Baker can't get to the marker. He is stopped just short, right at the line, but the offense is still out here. 4th and 1. Handoff to Fleming, and he's stopped. I can't believe it. Early on, Sanford stopped on 4th down. It's a turnover on downs, ECU football. 1st and 10 for the Pirates as they're out of the shotgun, and the throw here from Herring is complete to Keith Turner. 13-yard reception, and that turnover on downs could really come back to haunt the Coyotes. 1st and 10 as the no huddle begins, and that is Deshaun Hollis who gets to Howe. He'll only gain 2 as he was really forced to struggle to gain yards there by Hollis. 2nd and 8. The no huddle continues. They go screen, and Sam Williams nearly gets in the way of that football to pick it off, but he gets pushed by a blocker into that football. That was a fun play to watch. As on 3rd and 8, it's Simpson with the reception, and Tim Simpson gains 15 yards. Say that name 3 times fast. I dare you to do that. As 1st and 10, it's Tim Simpson again. That's going to be a 9-yard gain. This ECU offense is starting to feel it here, and this is not a good sign for Sanford's D. As the shovel pass there to Cochran, but Dave Cochran can't find any room. That is a loss of 5. We'll take another look at that one as a shifty play there by ECU, but Williams all over it. He wasn't letting anything by him. 3rd and 6 now, shotgun formation. Herring looks to throw. They're setting up a screen for Howe. He's got room, but mother of God, did you see that? Sam Moore just laid the wood on Hussein Howe, and he has played phenomenally in the slot this year, and this young man is impressing with that hit. 4th and 8, and it looks like the Pirates are keeping the offense out. Herring to throw. Deep ball picked up. Pat Riley. It's initially a punt because that'll be a touchback in the end zone. That'll put him at the 20. But, hey, Riley gets his first pick of the year. 1st and 10 now for Sanford's offense after the Riley interception. And Patrick going to take off on the option. It's a gain of 8 as they try to get this running game starting to ramp up here. 2nd and 2, shotgun formation. We saw him run out of the gun in week 7. It's an unusual thing to see for Sanford, but they continue to do it here. A 5-yard gain up the middle for Fleming as it's another first down. Play action now from Patrick out of the gun, and he can't get the ball off quick enough to get any air under it. He's hit as he throws, and luckily it falls incomplete. 2nd and 10. Pitch goes out to Fleming, and he is bottled up quickly. A lot of white jerseys getting there to him as he'll be stopped at the line. 3rd and 10 coming up. 3rd and 10, and running out of time is the Coyote offense, as that'll be a delay of game on the young quarterback, Tanner Patrick. Now a senior. But we'll see if they can now make a big first down off of 3rd and 15. As a connection here to Williams, and Josh Williams picks up 11. It's going to be 4th and 4, though. They're going to have to punt this one away. 1st and 10 in the shotgun. Herring looking to take off. He's brought down, though. Shea Faraday, the redshirt freshman, with his, I believe, 3rd sack of the year. As Faraday able to just pull down Herring. He wanted to run Faraday not letting that happen. He's becoming a force on this defense. 2nd and 16, as this could be the last play of the first quarter here. Man in motion is Cochran, the tight end. Aaron, the man, throwing, and that is Tim Simpson as under pressure. Heron got that ball off, and it's a good throw to Simpson as it will take us to the end of the first quarter. All tied up at 0 apiece. It's defensive football early here. We'll have more for you here on the Coyotes Football Network. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to the Coyotes Football Network. Sanford and ECU tied at 0 apiece as the second quarter is underway. And that's a check down to Hussein Howe. Gets out a one-whoopee tackle, a nice stiff arm. And that's going to be a 12-yard gain. The stiff arm was on Williams. And a big play there for ECU. They've got some momentum now going with this no huddle. 1st and 10, man in motion's Davis. I'm sorry, I said that was Cochran earlier. As the throw to the sideline on the comeback is caught, Keith Turner. 12-yard reception and another first down. This defense has to play smart. They're in their all blues. Normally, his all blue jersey and pants combination is saved for their all blue uniform for senior day. They decide to go with it here. And they got to bring the firepower today, as they do there with that stop on Tim Simpson. They went for the screen, didn't work out. 2nd and 10. Still this no-huddle offense for ECU keeps going. Handoff goes to Howe. He's brought down, though. Big Joe Irvin brings him down for a loss of 1. The no-huddle does continue. The play comes in from the sidelines. 3rd and 11. As Reed Herring takes his time, takes the snap. He was moving in the pocket, and that throw will end up short of his intended target. It's 4th and 11. They got to boot it. 1st and 10 now here for Sanford as they go back to the ground. That's Claude Fleming. He's got room, and if he had just been able to get away from that one defender who got him low, it would have been a huge run for Fleming. 7-yard gain, though, and it'll bring up 2nd and 3. They go back to the ground with Fleming, and he'll pick up the first down and more as he powers through a defender. 9-yard gain for Fleming. 1st and 10 out of the gun. Patrick to throw. Wide open on the sideline is Pat Jackson. 21-yard reception as the Patrick-to-Patrick connection hooks up here. And he is the fastest receiver on that field when it's the 3-wide set. As it's the I-form, handoff goes to Joe Baker, who's checked in, and he's got speed to put to use, and what a juke! It's a 19-yard gain, but can we talk about the ankles that were just broken? We're going to see a replay of this, and watch this juke, folks. Look at this move by Baker, breaking the ankles of the ECU defender. 1st and 10 now back in the I-form as Fleming, the man on the field at running back, and he's going to get bottled up again. This time a loss of 3. They are picking apart this running game when Fleming is on the field. They are keying in on him, and they got to get the ball through the air now to open up these running lanes. Patrick setting up the screen. That's Fleming, but he trips over a defender, stumbles a bit, and that forces a loss of 1. Fleming had some room to run. He just couldn't find it from the stumble there. Patrick through the air here on 3rd and 14. That's Claude Fleming. And if the run game doesn't work with Fleming, they'll do it through the air. 21 yards and a big play there from Patrick to Fleming as a huge, huge connection. They're at the 5 now, 1st and goal. They're going option. Pitch goes to Baker. And Joe Baker nearly had enough to find the end zone, just couldn't get the blocks as it's a 1-yard gain. 2 defenders were on him. 2nd and goal. They'll go back to Fleming here, and he's got room around that right side. Touchdown, Sanford. Good block setting the edge for Fleming, and it is a touchdown for the Coyotes. They score first today. 7-0 Coyotes lead as ECU back on offense. And they're going to their ground game. Hussein Howe gets a gain of 8 on that run. 2nd and 2 as the no huddle continues here for ECU. Man in motion is Williamson. As the handoff goes to Williamson, but he's bottled up Justin Moss, but he's not brought down. Believe Big Joe came in there to finish the job. We'll take another look at this one. Justin Moss, who's been he's been a great player beside Big Joe at defensive tackle. Makes the play, but Big Joe had to finish him. It's 3rd and 4. It's a draw play for Howe. Guess who shut that one down? Senior defensive end is Sean Hollis. He's starting to catch fire, it seems. As 55 seconds here as Sanford's back on offense after the punt. A connection here with Lorenzo Newman, and that's a 9-yard gain. First time out taken here by Sanford. 2nd and 1 as play action by Patrick, but he's brought down before he can get the ball off. That is a 9-yard loss. Sanford takes another timeout. One more timeout for Sanford here as it's 3rd and 10, 45 seconds. Patrick going through the air. He connects with true freshman Adam Gillette. It's a 12-yard connection for the young man out of Zanesville, Ohio. And that's going to be a first down. Clock is now rolling. As Patrick going to go through the air again. No, he takes off and runs. But he can't find much room as that's only going to be a gain of 1 and he couldn't go out of bounds. Clock continues to run as they start a little bit of no huddle themselves, and they might only have one more play here in them. As that one is batted in the air, deflected, but it falls incomplete. 3rd and 9, 4 seconds. They got one play left. Shotgun formation, play action. Patrick with time through the air. Can't connect with Newman, his intended target. Nearly intercepted by Javonte Smith. And that will take us to halftime. It's a very small score here, 7-0. But Sanford is on top. Your second half coming up after this here on the Coyotes Football Network. Welcome back, everyone, to the second half officially underway here in Sanford as Williams to return this kick. To begin the second half, he's got room to run. Good blocks, and he spins away from one defender, gets caught up on his blocker, Gordon Sutton, and that is up to the 40-yard line. Great starting field position for the Coyotes as they go right to the ground game with Fleming, as every ECU defender is looking at him. It's a 4-yard gain, though, and they've got to find a way to get Fleming going. He's only got 36 yards on the day. 2nd and 6 here as Baker checks in. And Joe Baker right off the gut, able to gain 7 and enough for the first down. He's had a good day for the small amount of carries that he's gotten so far. Patrick pump fakes here on first down. He's going to roll out right, and he's going to run with it. And he's got running room. A big gain for Patrick. If he's got to run with it, he will, as he goes around that right side, and he just takes off with it. Didn't like any target. Just took off down to around the 30. 1st and 10 once again. It's Fleming, and he's got room. To the end zone he goes. 30-yard touchdown run. That is only his second run of 20 yards or more this year. And what a touchdown run for Claude Fleming. Great blocks by the offensive line and the receivers to break him. And we'll take you to an update now as Sanford's got a 2-score lead. It is 24-21. Notre Dame right now upsetting number 6 in the nation, Oregon. Welcome back, everyone, to Sanford as it's 14-0. The Coyotes on top of the Pirates. And things are not getting better for Reed Herring as he goes down. Brought down by Justin Moss. Once again, Moss has just played so well this year and last year. He is going to fill in for Big Joe, I feel, perfectly fine next season. It's going to be fun to watch him play. 2nd and 14 after the Justin Moss sack. Herring looks to throw, but look who's upsetting everything. It is Big Joe Irvin. Sack number, I believe, 8 on the year. He is now tied a sack total for his freshman and sophomore year here in his senior year. And it is a big, big sack there. So it's 3rd and 21 after back-to-sack sacks. As Fleming can't find anybody to throw to, and he goes down a third time. This time it's Shea Faraday for sack number 2 on the day. 3 sacks. It is a sack hat trick by this defensive line. 1st and 10 in great field position for the Coyotes. They're already in Pirates territory as it's a 7-yard run here for Tanner Patrick on the option. If they don't come away with points here, it is a travesty. 2nd and 3 handoff goes to Fleming, and he fights through tacklers, and that's a 6-yard gain enough for the first down. That big 30-yard touchdown run has really helped that average now for Claude Fleming as Patrick on the run just gets rid of it before he takes the shot. It's going to fall incomplete, and that will save a sack here today. 2nd and 10, handoff out of the shotgun goes to Fleming, but that's Jalen Price. A loss of 2, and I talked about him in the Howler. He is the threat against this run game. 3rd and 12 out of the gun. Patrick looks to throw. Wide open Josh Williams, and it's going to be a 19-yard first down. As that play puts them now inside the 10, down at around the 9-yard line. 1st and goal out of the gun. Patrick takes the snap. He's looking to throw to the end zone. It's Josh Williams. Touchdown, Sanford. Wide open was Pat Jackson. I'm surprised he didn't go his way. But he hits Williams, and it's a touchdown. 3-score ball game now. As Reed trying to get this ECU offense going, but Reed Herring can't get the job done as that one falls incomplete. Simpson couldn't come away. 2nd and 10, I formation. And here comes the pressure. And the Coyotes force a mistake. That is James Bryant, the outside linebacker with the interception. Would you believe me if I told you that 2 of the 3 picks that Sanford has this year have come from linebackers? Because it's true as it gets. 1st and 10 now for Sanford after the James Bryant interception. And Claude Fleming back on the ground. It's a 2-yard rush by the power back, and it's going to be still a tough day for him on the ground. This defensive line has done a good job of stopping him. They'll go back to Fleming, and this time he finds his yards. It's a gain of 9 and enough for the first. Even on a bad day, Fleming has looked solid. 1st and 10. Baker in the ball game, and he bounces off blockers. That's going to be a 6-yard gain for Baker on that run. And he's had a solid day himself. Only 5 carries, but 33 yards. He's really done a good job of spelling Fleming today. As Patrick, rolling out off the play action, looks to the end zone for Newman, but it's taken away. That is an interception by Richards. As ECU catches a break here. That should have been a touchdown, I think, for Newman if he had floated it better. 1st and 10 now for Reed Herring. He doesn't want to get hit anymore as he hits Dave Cochran. That's a 2-yard reception. 2nd and 8 coming up with less than a minute to go here in the 3rd quarter. The no huddle for ECU continues as Herring goes to the screen, but guess what? It doesn't work. All day long, the screen has failed, and that time Sam Moore blows this one up. It's a 2-yard loss as nowhere to go. 3rd and 10, shotgun formation. ECU putting their tight end out wide as the pressure incoming. They set up the screen, and look at that. Gibson and Moore quickly to Hussein Howe. He loses a yard because of it, and that's the end of the 3rd quarter, folks. 21-0, Sanford on top, and they have just dominated on offense. Welcome back, everyone, to Sanford here. It's the final quarter of play, and it is Sanford College football. As Fleming on the run, he'll get bottled up a bit there, but he does gain 4 out of it. Couldn't really hit the hole as fast as I think he wanted to. 2nd and 6, single back formation. As Patrick going deep, he wants Lorenzo Newman, but still underthrown. he hasn't been able to get air under that ball as he'd like for that throw this year. 3rd and 6, Brown the man in motion. Handoff goes to Fleming up the gut. He'll fight, but won't get enough. 4th and inches. As a fake punt is run here, and it's a turnover. Gutierrez couldn't find enough room. As that is surprising to see them go fake punt, but it works out for the Pirates as they come away with the football. 1st and 10 now for ECU after the turnover on down. Sanford didn't want to give the football up apparently through the punt. As Hal gains 3 on that carry, their no huddle will begin again. Reed setting up the screen. Screens have not worked, and it doesn't work again. A loss of 2. Folks, Sam Moore is having his best day as a Coyote. 3rd and 9. Herring looks to throw across the middle, and Davis can't grab it. It is a drop and will bring up 4th down. ECU's offense on the field. Herring takes the snap out of gun. He's looking to throw, but Deshaun Hollis brings it into that one. Another sack, and guess what, folks? It's official. This entire defensive line now has a sack on the day. And would you look at this? The backups are in. John Scott making his debut in Sanford, throwing on the run, and he hits Richards again. 2nd pick of the day for Richards. First one came, of course, from Tanner Patrick. This one comes off the first throw in the career of John Scott. Had to throw on the run, couldn't hit his man, and it's in the hands of Richards. Not the greatest start for Scott, but hey, he'll have to learn. It's a growing process. Herring with the throw, and that one goes out of bounds. 2nd and 10 coming up as it even looks like the 2nd string defense bringing some pressure here. 2nd and 10, Herring with another screen setup. This time it works for some yards as they gain 6. Doesn't get as much as I think they wanted, but nonetheless, you got to be happy with a positive gain if you're ECU at this point. 3rd and 4, and it's an option for Herring, and he fights through Gordon Sutton. Gain of 7 on that run. 1st down for the Pirates. Been a while since we could say that. 1st and 10. The no huddle continues. They get the play from the sideline, and Herring takes the snap. He connects with Simpson, but a big tackle by Sam Moore jars it loose and falls incomplete. He's having a phenomenal day now in coverage here with the 2nd stringers. As Cochran with the reception, Gordon Sutton was the man on coverage, gain of 6 there. 3rd and manageable for ECU as the no huddle continues. So it's 3rd and 4. It's another option here for Reed Herring, and he's brought down short of the marker. As that's going to bring up 4th and inches. The offense still in the field for ECU. Hal the man in motion, and they'll give it to Hussein Hal, and he'll get enough for the 1st down. So nonetheless, ECU does put a 1st down on the board on 4th. So they keep the football. 1st and 10. Herring connects with Keith Turner. It was more on coverage. Didn't make a play on the ball in time. As another 1st down here for ECU. They might actually get in the end zone here, it looks like. 1st and 10, Davis the man in motion. As Hal gets bottled up quick, and he'll just get back to the line. His 2nd string defensive line has worked out very well. We'll see if they can continue to do this as a false start, it looks like here on ECU. This crowd noise having an effect on the Pirates' offensive line here late in the ball game. Surprised to see the 2nd stringers actually get brought into the game, but I'm guessing the coaching staff very confident that ECU won't turn this one around as Williamson fights through defenders. That's a 22-yard game for Sidney Williamson. The first big play of the day for ECU. 1st and goal, handoff to Weber, and he'll find the end zone as he fights Nate Ginn into the end zone. Touchdown ECU as Sanford will not shut them out, but of course 2nd stringers in the ball game. Kick though, no good. The extra point is not good as he shanks it. We'll take you to another update here as Notre Dame has defeated Oregon in the upset in Oregon. So in Eugene, the Ducks can't get it done. 38-31, Notre Dame on top of Oregon. Now back here to Sanford for the onside kick, and it is recovered by Ron Price, the middle linebacker for Sanford. So, Sanford College football with 3:50 left. Scott still in the ballgame, of course, as Joe Baker is the main back now, and that's going to be a 12-yard run for Baker. Big run there as he has shown that he has a lot of speed to him, and it's fun to watch him run at times. As Scott going to throw here down the middle to Nick Brown, and what a connection here. The young quarterback out of Illinois State Community College, Wheaton, Illinois, where he's actually from, but of course the JUCO transfer. John Scott makes his first connection here as a Coyote. First and goal, play action, and Scott looks to throw. He connects with Pat Jackson, but he'll be a yard short of the end zone. So second and goal coming up here as they are in their goal line set. Scott goes play action, and he gets out of one would-be sack, tries to bide time, but can't do so. He'll go down for a loss of 8. Jalen Price, the defensive tackle, the man who brought him down. Hopefully Scott doesn't get hurt here. Nonetheless, he's looking at maybe a better situation on third and goal if they're going to throw it. And it looks like they will out of the gun. Scott to the end zone finds Taylor Moore. The first career touchdown for both men. As Scott connects with Moore, congratulations to both young men for their first career touchdowns here in college for them. As Herring can't find a target, he'll just throw it away. 2nd and 10. This second string defense showing just as dominant as the first stringers right now. Herring checks it down to Howland. That's a big hit as he can't hang on. 3rd and 10 with only 2:06 left to go. Man in motion is Davis, the tight end. Herring looks to throw. He's running out of time, and Chaz Tanner forces a poor throw. 4th and 10. 2 minutes left to go, and if this falls incomplete, I'll tell you now, it's game over as Herring looks to throw. Downfield, and Williamson hangs on. Moore tries to rip it free, but 31 yards downfield by Sidney Williamson. It's still in the hands of ECU now. As Herring still looking for a man, but he goes down. Scott Boyd picks up a sack. The sack machine that is the Sanford defense continues. 2nd and 18. Herring still can't find anybody quick, but that's Tim Simpson. Sam Moore was on coverage, but Simpson finds an opening, able to catch the football. It's 1st and 10. Herring looks to throw. Wide open Hussein Howe, and that's going to be enough for the first gain of 20 on that reception. He was wide open, a lot of room to run there too. 1st and goal. As the defense ready to bring some pressure, it looks like indeed they do. And that one's batted away. Free safety Marvin Clark. He's also the emergency 4th quarterback if they so need one. 2nd and goal to the end zone. That's Dave Cochran. 7-yard touchdown. ECU has put 2 scores now on the board. I would assume they're going to go for 2 here. But Sanford, I don't think, is worried with 1:06 left. They know the onside kick is coming. 2-point conversion here for ECU. But look at this, a false start by the Pirates. They're going to get moved back now. It's a much longer situation for the 2-point conversion. 1:06 to go. There's the check down to Carroll. He breaks one would-be tackle, can't break the second. That is Jovan Cohen, I believe is how you pronounce it. Yes, and he recovers the onside kick as well. Javon Cohen doing everything, folks. As 1st and 10 for Sanford, they need 1 first down to waste these timeouts. As John Scott on the option. Who thought we'd be seeing that as a near first down here from Scott, 2nd and inches. So the first down here ends it as Scott hands off to Baker. He's stopped though in the backfield. Loss of about 2.5. Sanford just needs a first down here. 3rd and 3, option formation. They're going option for Scott. And John Scott, first down. The man who's not known to run the football puts this game away. Congratulations to John Scott for the playtime, but of course your player of the game, Claude Fleming. 91 yards, 2 touchdowns, the big 30, the long of the day. What a huge day for Sanford. They got to see some of their backups in play. They dominated East Carolina and are now 3-0 in AAC conference play. A big win, especially with recruits in attendance. I got a feeling, folks, after a performance like that, both on offense and defense, we might have some big news for you when it comes to recruiting this next week in the Howler. But you'll have to wait for that, as it was another great performance. Once again, 28-12 your final here. Sanford College Coyotes on top of the East Carolina Pirates. I've been Jonathan West. You've been watching the Coyotes Football Network. We'll have more for you next week with hopefully some big news in the Howler. See you then.